Yeah, no, I've played every drum set that's been out, whether I've played it at a store where I've owned them because I've owned so many drums, and Spaun drums by far, not even close, have been the best sounding drums I have ever heard and played. And there's I've always gotten maple wood. Now you're coming up with different types of wood. Number one and number two, I've always had, and I still have a good amount of acrylic drums because those bring. And your acrylic drums sound better than other acrylic drums I've played. I don't know exactly why, if it's the lugs, but it has more of a deep end again with that attack. Whereas other acrylic drums have been super high end in the sound, in the pitch. And they seem to still have that low end tone that I like. I don't like a drum again to be just bing. I like it to have a boom. And of course, I've got my wood hoop sets that first time I played a wood hoop set was a yacht, and I didn't think another company could ever make anything as good or better, but you do. And the wood hoop sets give you a whole different, incredible sound too. So I've got, everything. Now the last kit that I bought was a hybrid, which I remember you being the first one to come out with that, but I don't know. Um, that's also going to have best of both worlds combined, right, Brian?
Yeah, the idea behind that is, you get some sonic characteristics of both acrylic and wood combined. So you're kind of bridging the gap. It's not exactly a wood set sound, not exactly an acrylic sound, but kind of balances somewhere in between the two and give you a little bit of each sound properties. So
Mm-hmm.
it makes a real nice combination.
And then also, Brian, I remember you also being the first one to do certain things like putting vent holes in snares. And now it seems like everybody's doing it. And even doing the split snare where it has like an opening in the center. Can you kind of like, because I don't know technically why, but those also have a different sound. And
Yeah, the large vents. I mean, all drums have a traditional, small size air vent somewhere to let the air escape so the drum
right,
can
right, yeah.
breathe and
Where the
resonate.
logo
But
is,
you're
yeah.
talking about like the large two and a
Right.
half or
That's what I meant. That's what I
the
meant.
large vents and the snare drums and things like that. Yeah, that's has a whole different sound characteristic. Lets the air escape very quickly from the drum. It gives you kind of a little bit of an amplified snare side because that air is coming out so quickly. So you get some more volume and brilliance from the snare side. It's much more snappy. You're
Yeah.
hearing more of the snare side coming through, so it's very articulate and bright and snappy because of the larger air vents. Yeah.
Kind of like maybe when you put a little hole in the front of the bass drum to let the air out in a different way. It's a snare, but kind of like, is it kind of like that, Brian? Or
I
no?
wouldn't really know how to compare it to a bass drum. It's
Well, because I don't like a bass drum for me that doesn't have a little hole in the front. It's too boomy for me. And when I make the hole in the front and put one of your pillows, then I get the sound that I like, you know, for my taste.
yeah. I mean, if you have a air trapped in the drum, secondly, I'm sure you heard it probably on bass drums without any hole in. You can tend to get a bit of a basketball-y sort of
Mm,
sound to it.
yeah.
So yeah, all drums need to have some air
Right.
escaping to avoid that, and the larger air vents just take it to a more
Right.
extreme version of that.
Yeah, like the sound isn't just stuck in the snare. It comes more of a quicker snap and pop. So, Brian, kind of changing gears, but with Spawn drums, I was curious. I know that you first started this company when you were in MIT, I believe it's called. And what made you think of starting a drum company and doing this?
Um, so I was at school at PIT, Musicians Institute. It's the percussion version of the drummer section of Musicians Institute. And for a number of years before, I'd already been taking like old, maybe sort of junky, cheaper snare drums and kind of upgrading them or working on them and doing some repair work and things like that. So it just segued into thinking that, well, maybe I can make my own drums and, just developed from there, really, just a little bit at a time.
And when you first started doing this, did you right away think of making a high end custom make set for people, or were you like not sure if you were going to do cheaper sets because your stuff is good or better than anything, as good as it gets out there? And
Um, no, I only had the intention of making high-end pro drum sets. Was really
okay.
the only thing I had in my mind. At that time, I think I was about ready to buy another drum kit, and I already have had a number of drum kits, and I was only looking at pro level stuff, and I just wasn't enthusiastic about anything, and somehow that turned into an idea of like, well, make your own drum set, possibly.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'm
so
glad
many
you did,
years
brother.
ago it just kind of turned into what it is today, many thousands of drums later, but I'm still doing it.
Um, you know, when I first started playing Spawn, I would realize when I would mention them amongst musicians at first, this is a long time ago because I've been with you and playing your drums a very long time. Like, I don't know how long, but I want to say, as far as just playing
15
them,
years?
how long?
You think it's been 15 years?
Something like that. That's the number I was going to say. So at first, some people would go, Spawn Drum. Now I notice, especially amongst drummers and in music stores, they've heard of you, man. They've heard of the company. They've heard of the quality. They always, the first, oh, yeah, yeah, those are really good drums, man. So, like it's paid off. The name has gotten out there and it's a good reputation. So, let me see. And I know that a lot of artists that you have been playing these, and people in a lot of bands that we would have all heard of. Um, I don't know if you want to mention any of them, or they can go to your website to see them. However, as far as that goes.
Yeah, you think? I mean, they can go to the website and see some of the artists. I've
Okay.
worked with tons of different artists over
Yeah.
the years. Some have come and gone, and some are still here, and they're all various levels. I work with anybody that wants to work with me. You
Right.
know,
Right.
I don't have I don't have any like high standard. Like, I'm not going to answer the phone for the average person. That's not my way. I'm not interested in that. You don't have to be the most famous drummer in the world to get in touch with me. Just call me or send me an email. I'm happy to talk to any drummer about drums and fitting their needs. And it's never been my intention to go out and try to buy famous artists in order to coax young drummers into playing my product. That's not what I do. That's what the giant corporations do. That's not what I do. So,
Right. No, yeah, you and I have talked about that, and I know where you're coming from, and I respect that. But you have had some big people, which we won't go into names, play your set and endorse them. Do you still have? I'm just curious. The drummer from Boy George playing them?
Uh, from Culture Club, John Moss, the
Right.
drummer of Culture Club. Yeah, he's
Well, that's just to name one. That's pretty big right there, you know. But he's a great drummer, and you know that band's well, you know, a legend. Boy George is a legend, you know.